Arsenal and Norway captain Martin Odegaard twists his ankle and leaves the pitch in tears during the international break while representing Norway, and has been pictured on crutches, and there's even talk of an MI scan. What a few days it's been for Arsenal fans, people. Declan Rice is not going to be available. Mikel Moreno obviously has a shoulder issue. Odegaard, in my opinion, we have small hope that he'll be available, but is now probably out of the North London derby, and probably our first, second, third, and maybe even fourth choice midfield trio options are ruled out, people. And again, when you look at already a condensed and congested fixture calendar list, which now that the international break is over, games are going to be coming thick and fast for us, with a game, at least 2 games every 7 days, 3 in the space of 10. Things are coming quite fast. I can't lie, I don't know what we do, I don't know where we go from here. I hope Mikel Arteta and co have solutions. You also throw in Calafiori's injury scaring. Again, it's been quite the week or two for Arsenal. We also know Tomiyasu and Gabriel Jesus apparently are back in training, but also not fully fit. Raheem Sterling has no injury doubts, but again, in terms of a man not being able to participate for his former club in the first 3 games of the season, you question his match fitness, and you question the match fitness anyways of all players in the Premier League, because we're only 3-4 games into the season, people. Man, you know, on already fragmented fluidity in our midfield is going to be fragmented, and problems are going to be caused even more. I don't expect it to be fluid. I don't expect it to be pretty, but we just need to get through this Spurs game, and beyond that, in my opinion, it's going to be crazy. I cannot lie, folks. Once again, I don't know what we do. I don't know where the solutions are. Fortunately, I'm not Mikel Arteta, and it's not my problem from a tactical point. It is from a fan. Let me speak about a couple of points. Now, for me, I expect to see Jorginho, Havertz and Partey. I don't think there is a solution that is foolproof. You would imagine, you know, Kai Havertz would line up on the left-hand side and run into the space. Jorginho would conduct and Partey would provide safety. If Jesus plays, naturally he'll drop into midfield, or better yet, him and Havertz will alternate. Apologies. Now, we all know how Spurs play. There's a narrow front three, really and truly. They try and take advantage of the space. You'd imagine Maddison will be the kind of linchpin in midfield and look to connect with some of his more attacking teammates. I don't know who they'd play up front, if it's Kulusevski or Solanke, you know, because they played both of them up there. And whether it's Brennan Johnson or that lad that they got from Burnley, honestly, I don't have a clue what Postecoglou's men will do. Now, a game against Spurs is about the transition. We all know David Raya likes to go long and try and find Kai Havertz. That could still be there with Havertz in midfield, and also Jesus competing for the knockdown. And obviously Havertz would still have to work the channels and help defend and muck into midfield. Midfield is going to be a crucial battle. Jorginho would probably be the more creative of the midfield and look to silk the passes through and find some of his teammates. Timbers, obviously, or whoever's going to be in midfield. Partey will probably be the more deep line of the midfield trio, whoever goes out there, and also will have to provide some passing. And there'll be more impetus on the likes of Timber to do such as well, people, which obviously provides its own complications in itself. The only thing that could really scare me is Jorginho being at the base, there being gaps in midfield, because if I'm honest, Havertz, because he's going to go forward, Jorginho and Partey, because of the dynamism, might struggle in that regard, and we're susceptible to the counter. I mean, we always speak about our footballers being multifunctional and being able to play anything from 1 to 3 positions. Do you play Zinchenko finally in midfield, either in the 10 or the 8, and simultaneously Kai Havertz, and they kind of alternate between that? Havertz could be in the 8. Naturally, Havertz's game is more running into space. Simultaneously, Zinchenko's game is more coming to feet. So could Zinchenko be the guy who starts in the 10 and drops into midfield as Havertz runs forward, or do they alternate between the two? Do you play Raheem Sterling or Trossard in the 10? Yes, we've seen Trossard playing the 10. Sterling knows Mikel Arteta's way of football. Of course, they're probably better when they're isolated in 1v1 areas. Again, are they known for the silky kind of link-up play? More so Trossard than Sterling, but these are options, people, to be honest with you. In terms of adding some guile and some fight without naturally, you know, moving on already fragmented 11 or squad, do you get Timber in midfield? I mean, the individual Timber has said he's multifunctional and he can play in midfield, and Mikel Arteta has spoken of that. And being an inverted, you know, fullback is the big song and dance, not about getting an extra man in midfield. So again, of course, the starting positions and the angles you receive the ball are completely different, but these are potential options in my opinion. Again, it's going to be a techie one for Mikel Arteta. The Premier League is about transitions and high intensity. Now, we need to keep our high press. Getting Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus in the side will be that. Naturally, we press in the front. You know, it is basically two banks of 4-4-4-2, but it's almost like a 4 and then a 2. And again, the only thing that really fears me is the transitions. Much has been the theme of our last 2 games against Spurs. Once again, Jorginho, Kai Havertz, Thomas Partey, or any midfield option we deploy, we're susceptible to gaps. All it takes is for them to find one pass, and we have a lot of defending to do. And Partey and Jorginho are going to struggle on the transition, if I'm honest. Many of you will ask what I exactly mean by defending wide areas. Now, an underestimated part of being a central midfielder is wide areas. Let's assume Vicario for Spurs is able to pick out a pass when they're progressing out from the back, right? And we imagine, obviously, players don't just stand still, they move forward. Pedro Porro, who is going to be one to watch, Nelly's going to have some defending. Let's just assume he's made a third run, and whoever is playing right wing subsequently for Spurs, right? This is where the issue comes. If that midfielder plays that pass and runs into the space, is Zinchenko whoever going to follow the runners simultaneously with Maddison? We're quite susceptible to the counter-attack, especially because we don't have the dynamism and the protection of a Moreno or Declan Rice. Now, this goes for anybody who is in that central midfield for Arsenal Football Club. Now, a part of me wants to see a back five. It's a back five is as defensive or as offensive as you make it. We've got very good ball-playing modern-day defenders at our club, and while they're not paid to score or assist or link the dots in that regards, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori are all good ball passers, carriers or progressors in their positions. And again, a back five, somebody's going to have to miss out, but you could have Zinni or Trossard dropping deep, Havertz still making that run, Gabriel Jesus in the mix, Saka kind of in a hybrid position where he's in the half spaces and could indirectly be closer to goal. Jesus and Havertz are going to have to work their socks off. We've all seen Calafiori mainly for Italy gallop forward. Now, if the game was to go how we want it to go, where Spurs are living dangerously, they're camped in their own half, you know, they've essentially got all 11 players in their half, or at least 10, you know, 10 players behind the ball, or 10 players in their own half, and you've got Jesus in the pockets, Saka in the pockets, you know, creating overloads all over the fields with the likes of Benjamin White, Havertz, Gabriel, who again, they're going to have to be in charge with venturing forward and being a bit more glamorous, Timber in the mix as well. That could also give us a lot of defensive stability. And owing to the point I said about wide areas, obviously you've got strength in numbers there. Now, I don't expect to see this. And of course, you could still go along with the Kai Havertz's and connect the dots with the first and second balls and the duels and things of that ilk. So yeah, that's a way of getting the Zinchenkos, the Trossards, the Sterlings in that kind of 10 role and still creating opportunities. I don't expect it, but you also cannot rule out the young Ethan Wary people in terms of being an option for the North London derby. You could argue there's never a time to play young players. There's never ideal situations to play young players, but if you're good enough, you're old enough, he's in the squad, and you know, this could be the baptism of fire that could endear him people. Now, it's a big ask to play young Ethan, because I personally believe, you know, he's still learning the tricks and trades of the game. We don't have many options, but he is still learning. And while I think, you know, clearly you're good enough, technically, tactically, are you going to remain disciplined? And to be fair, he needs that scope to make mistakes. He's a young player, and he's going to have to be coached through the game via his more experienced teammates. And the team is already fragmented. You've got players around, you know, question marks around fitness, around availability, about the knock-on effects to a team already struggling when the first team options are available really on the team sheet in terms of fluidity. I don't expect it to be a pretty game, but it's one where I actually think we've got enough to win and get the job done. Easier said than done, but Ethan is also an opportunity to be, you know, utilized. As stated, for me, people, the only question marks I have is the fluidity, because when everybody's fit, we're not really playing that silky football, that 1-2 touch pass, everybody available, linking David Raya to Kai Havertz from back to front. On the best of days, we're not fully fit, we're not playing that. Now you throw in some injuries and there's already one spanner in the works, you start moving players around, there's even more moving parts. On top of that, as I've alluded to in the video, the spaces on the transition and wide areas make me a bit nervous, if I'm completely honest with you. So yeah, say what you want. I don't want to sound cliche, but this is a typical Premier League game. In my opinion, this is simply a fight. We need relentless energy. We just need to get the job done. Of course, I would love for this to be a one-off. We know we welcome back Declan Rice after this, but it's just about getting it done. I must admit, all the potential options in midfield and what we do, some of which I have not covered in this video because there's just too many. I don't feel there is one that wholeheartedly captures all Arsenal fans, but we're going to have to get the job done, if I'm brutally honest. You know, Martin Odegaard's a spanner in the work because we know we lose the Wizards' wonderful left foot, his partnership with Saka. You know, we lose a lot in an attacking sense and that link in midfield, but we also lose a lot defensively, people. You look at the graphic on screen via Sky Sports, of course, you can see the goals, assists, chances created, passes into the box, but it's also possession won in the final third. Martin Odegaard ranks first. He's our second defender. Kai Havertz is our first. Our first attacker is David Raya. That's why we play out from the back. Our first defender is Kai Havertz and indirectly Odegaard. So is anybody able to do the job to his ilk? I'm not too sure. Once again, we lose so much in the press with Odegaard. We lose a player who 9 out of 10 times is available for a pass, and we lose a final ball specialist. The strength in depth of this side is firmly being means tested 4 games into the season. This can happen to anyone, but Mikel Arteta and Arsenal have to find a solution. I feel sorry for Arteta because the poor guy's probably just found a solution to cope with Declan Rice and Mikel Merino, and then this has been thrown into the ranks. Transfer markers rated our squad 3rd most valuable, people. Now, again, I'm taking that out of context, but it's now time to see the true worth of this squad, if I'm essentially honest with you. We also got to remember we still don't know the diagnosis on Martin Odegaard's injury. We can be as negative or as optimistic as possible. It all depends if it's a grade 1, 2 or 3, people, ankle sprain or whatever. We hope there's no ligament damage. Again, it's one where really and truly you can only monitor as time progresses. As I said earlier in the video, he's been pictured on crutches. You'd imagine there's an MRI scan. While him being on crutches scares me, you could be optimistic and say, do you know what? That's purely just a precaution to take the weight off his ankle. You'd imagine there's a lot of swelling. For me, best case scenario, it's just a case of swelling and he has to sit out the next 2 to 3 games. Worst cases, we're talking weeks and months. Life is coming at Arsenal very fast, people, and we're going to have to get on with it. Many people are going to say, myself included, you look towards the transfer window that's just gone and said, how do we address every area? Of course, if we don't have suspensions, freak injuries in training and pointless international friendlies, players are fit, but that's all ifs and buts. This is the dynamics we find ourselves in, and a lot of Arsenal fans, myself included, during the summer, the talk was around strikers, around wingers, around central midfielders, or people that play with Declan Rice in the pivot. When you get beyond that, people, we were talking about Martin Odegaard and could he be utilised in terms of, sorry, people, if there was a suitable replacement for Martin Odegaard, maybe not in terms of quality, but in terms of able to do a job, and we don't have that. We have to find solutions in which Edu and specifically Mikel Arteta are gonna have to do a thing, people. It is what it is, people, and also it's just coming at us very quickly. Who is putting these curses on our players? Calafiori, Odegaard, Declan Rice, silly second yellow/red. What is going on? All I can say is life and football has come at us very quickly. Us Arsenal fans, we've got a lot of games to play and not really that many players available. I would say strap up, get ready, and simply put, let's have it, people. Time will tell exactly what we're going to do, but it is what it is. I'll be riding the highs and lows of this season with you lot. Smash the like button. Let me know your thoughts. Peace.